Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
More frontline workers are enthusiastically rolling up their sleeves to get the shot that holds so much promise for ending the COVID nightmare.
Police are calling the death of a Metro Detroit woman suspicious after her body is found on the campus of Grand Valley State. Police releasing new information in the case 3 days after this awful discovery on the campus near Grand Rapids.
They're confirming the body was that of Taylor DeRosa. DeRosa was a first-year student at GVSU and was attending classes on the Allendale campus, but her home has been Royal Oak. Victor Williams is live at the high school from which she graduated. He joins us live with more. Victor.
Yes, Kimberly, she graduated right from Royal Oak High School this past May in 2020, and unfortunately she never made it past her first year of college, and now police are trying to solve this murder mystery. Dozens online are mourning the sudden death of Taylor DeRosa. Police are calling the death of the Grand Valley State University freshman suspicious. Her body was found on December 12th by a runner near the athletic field at the Allendale campus, and since then her family has been urging the school to release her identity. School officials at this point do not believe any other students are in danger. However, Michigan State Police and the Ottawa County Sheriff's Department are now assisting in getting into the bottom of what happened. Her manner of death is not being revealed at this time. Sadly, this was the student's first college experience living on campus. And before she could even really get into the bulk of her post-grade school education, her life ended so tragically. So far, her GoFundMe account has already reached over $34,000. And that amount just continues to rise. So if you would like to go ahead and donate to her family during this very unfortunate and rough time, you can head over to our website, clickondetroit.com, for that direct link. Reporting in Royal Oak, Victor Williams, Local 4.
And Victor, just for anybody who may be watching, who knows anything or learns anything about this, who should they call?
Campus Police, they can leave a tip right at this number that you guys are going to see on the screen. It's 616-331-3255. So hopefully someone out there knows something to help bring this family closure.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, Victor, thanks.
Beaumont Health in Southfield administers its first doses of the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine.
Yeah, Director of Epidemiology and Infection Prevention, Dr. Nick Gilpin, was the first person to receive the vaccine. About 140 frontline workers in Beaumont's high priority group received their first doses this afternoon, with more soon to follow. Workers in this group have direct or indirect exposure to patients with COVID-19. And there was excitement today at Michigan Medicine as more volunteers stepped forward to get the vaccine there.
For many who work in healthcare, it marks a real turning point in their battle against coronavirus. They tell our Sean Lay they are proud to set an example for the rest of us.
Well, tonight we are asking these initial frontline workers, the very first to volunteer to roll up their sleeve and get that COVID-19 vaccine, we're asking why they're doing it. They say it's quite simple. They want life to return to normal at work and at home, and this is the way forward to that goal.
We just want to get back to normal.
Cassandra Seidler is just like you and me. She just wants to get back to a normal life, but she has seen what COVID-19 could do to a person up close. She's an RN at Michigan Medicine, and she was one of the first to roll up her sleeves and volunteer for the COVID vaccine.
I just feel like it's going to make me feel a lot safer coming into work every day, and just a lot safer in general, out in public, out, in the malls, everything else. And I am more so looking forward just to be able to live a normal life again.
With limited supply, frontline workers are getting the first doses. Dr. Jason Knight did not hesitate to volunteer.
Yeah, I'm really scared of COVID based on everything I've seen, but I'm not scared of the vaccine. And so, I was happy to volunteer to go as quickly as I could.
Knight has been working with COVID clinical trials at the U of M since last March, interacting with a lot of COVID patients. He says they've been working to help COVID patients as much as they can, but the vaccine, he says, is the definitive solution that we all have been waiting for.
I think it's the biggest deal. I'm just very thankful to everyone that participated in the clinical trials for the vaccines to get us to this point, but now I think it's up to the rest of us to kind of finish this. And so we're starting today, and hopefully each month gets better now.
Other doctors at Michigan Medicine calling the vaccine the light at the end of the tunnel. They say going forward, they need more of us to get the vaccine when the vaccine becomes more available. And until then, they do not want any of us to let our guards down. Sean Lay, Local 4.
Okay, Sean. Well, we are just 2 days away from the FDA public meeting to consider whether to issue an emergency use authorization for the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine.
Now, ahead of that, today the FDA released the data that will be central to that decision. Our Dr. Frank McGeorge has been pouring through that. He's back with a closer look at the other issues that this data has identified. Frank?
Yeah, Kim and Devin. So the Moderna vaccine trial was designed to answer very specific questions. But in the process of collecting and analyzing the data, often other things are identified that are also of interest. For example, how much of an effect could someone expect with only one dose of the vaccine? When medical research is done, it's important to set up the goal of the trial very carefully and not use the information gathered to make any definitive conclusions that the study wasn't designed to evaluate. Nonetheless, it is fair to look for hints that might contribute to a broader understanding. In the case of the Moderna vaccine, there appears to be some protection against COVID-19 after receiving only one dose of the vaccine. When the data was evaluated, there were about 1,000 people in the vaccine and placebo groups who had only received one dose of the vaccine. And using the infection rates in those people, the vaccine efficacy appears to be significant after one dose. Another question is whether the vaccine can reduce the chance of people developing severe disease. The data provided by Moderna found 11 cases of severe COVID-19 among people who received the placebo, and 0 cases in the group that was vaccinated. This suggests the vaccine was 100% effective at preventing severe disease. Now, many people have asked how well a vaccine might prevent asymptomatic infection, where a person might unknowingly be contagious. The hint from the Moderna data is that following the first shot, there were 2/3 fewer asymptomatic infections in people who received the vaccine compared to the placebo. Now, something else that came up were cases of Bell's palsy. That's a condition that causes paralysis of one side of the face, often triggered by a viral infection. The Pfizer trial found 4 Bell's palsy cases in the vaccine group and none in the placebo group. Moderna's trial found 3 cases in the vaccine group and 1 in people who received placebo. It's not enough to say that the cases were related to the vaccine, but it's definitely something that we'll need to monitor.
In fact, I know you'll be keeping us posted on any new findings because people have so many questions about these vaccines. They're still pouring in. You might want to talk about how to submit them to you right now.
Yeah, so you can submit one right now on the homepage at clickondetroit.com. In fact, I'll be answering several tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. and of course in the days to come. Obviously, I cannot answer all of them, but I am trying to answer as many as I possibly can.
Great
Back
deal.
to you.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Doc. Let's move now to the latest coronavirus developments here in Michigan. State reporting 4,730 new cases over the past 24 hours. Also reporting 183 new deaths. That includes 71 from a review of vital records. University of Michigan, if you haven't heard by now, has canceled the final scheduled football game of the season because of virus issues within the program. No game against Iowa this Saturday.
At a coronavirus briefing today, Governor Whitmer says the recent drop in cases shows the state's restrictions are working. Governor Whitmer called on state and federal lawmakers to respond to her request for aid for workers and businesses.
But right now, masking up and helping these businesses that are struggling is paramount. And we need the legislature to step up and work with me on this. And we also need Congress to get a bipartisan solution over the finish line. That's how we help these businesses that are struggling right now.
And we reached out to the leaders of Michigan's House and Senate. They tell us both are working on a relief bill.
President Trump continues to claim Dominion voting machines failed and swayed the election as the company's CEO denies that to a Michigan Senate committee. Here's one of the president's tweets today reading, "Dominion voting machines are a disaster all over the country." Dominion CEO John Polis told Michigan Senate Oversight Committee attacks on the election and his company amount to a disinformation campaign.
There were no switched or deleted votes involving Dominion machines. All 2020 election audits and recounts conducted thus far of Dominion technology have validated the accuracy and reliability of the results.
Yesterday, the Electoral College affirmed President-elect Joe Biden's win. Meanwhile, Michigan doing an audit of the state's results will repeat no credible evidence of fraud has thus far been found. We've got some breaking news just in. As the president-elect continues to assemble his cabinet, it appears there will be a Michigan connection, as former Governor Jennifer Granholm is reportedly going to be the new Secretary of Energy. Both The Hill and Politico reporting that this afternoon. It was widely expected, as Kathy Gray just pointed out on Twitter, that Granholm would have a spot in the Hillary Clinton administration that never happened back in 2016, now rumored to be the Energy Secretary for President-elect Joe Biden, Jennifer Granholm. We'll keep following that.
Well, neighbors in Madison Heights are sharing their frustrations and fears following an incident at a nearby Knight's Inn. As Larry Spruill reports, some found bullet holes in their homes after an arrest at the motel that didn't go the way police planned.
Neighbors here in this Madison Heights neighborhood are upset after they say a shooting happened at a motel just feet away from their home. Neighbors tell me that bullets went flying everywhere, hitting several homes, and now they're trying to figure out what happened.
This is the bullet hole that came through my house from the shooting at the Knight's Inn.
Tuesday, Raquel Delinsky has a lot of questions about this bullet hole in the side of her Madison Heights home.
I started hearing gunshots and then I heard something hit my house.
Delinsky tells us she heard multiple gunshots last week from this Knight's Inn in Madison Heights. Local 4, they're on scene of a shooting early Thursday morning at that same Knight's Inn. Warren police say they were arresting a suspect allegedly involved in several burglaries throughout the metro area. Officers say the suspect tried to hit them with his car and they fired multiple shots in self-defense. But Commissioner Bill Dwyer tells me he cannot discuss whether or not stray bullets hit homes behind the Knight's Inn.
It's a very scary thing to have to think about and go through. Not knowing when you're laying in bed, can bullets be shooting and flying through your home?
And Delinsky is not the only one. Jerry Dials lives around the corner with his family. He also says several bullets were fired inside his home as well around the time of the shooting.
Found a hole in the baby changer, and they ricocheted up on the wall or the ceiling and landed underneath the tree. If I was home, I'd been like in the direct path of it. I'm glad I wasn't home.
Reporting in Madison Heights, Larry Spruill, Local 4.
All right, Larry, we are waiting for a warm-up after a very chilly day.
Let's see what Ben's got for us. Hi, Ben.
Let's hope it gets here before Santa does, but I don't think we'll have to wait that long. Temperatures tonight not falling all that far, considering we didn't rise all that much today. We'll look at the snow we're expecting tomorrow and how much more they're getting out east. Just a few minutes.
She was a record-breaking athlete who came back to her high school to coach her former swim team.
We're being lifted up by this community in a way that I never expected.
Tonight, a stunned community grieving the loss of a young coach who died unexpectedly.